So for more on this match, let's welcome in Frank Leboeuf. But before we hear from Frank, let's hear from Grumpy Stevie. Liverpool fans on the old internet not happy about your negativity so early on before the season's even started, Stevie?
Well, I'm not quite sure how to answer that because, there aren't too many positives. Today, the positive would be Isak scoring and Vert scoring.
Yeah.
But after that, you lose 3 goals, you lose the game. So, again, after this game, Liverpool are in a position where nobody, and I'm pretty sure Iraola is the same, not quite sure what starting 11 will be maybe, and what they're going to get. They're certainly not going to get the Liverpool of 2 seasons ago, swashbuckling, dominating, rampaging over everybody, scoring lots of goals and not letting any in. That seems like a long way away right now. And I would argue with anybody who can come up and tell me otherwise right now with what we've seen and what the squad has right now going into the start of the new season.
You think this time 12 months ago, Shaq, you were crying about Isak leaving Newcastle, heading to Liverpool. Obviously, we know how his first season went at Liverpool. Second one, can only be an improvement, really.
Yeah, and a good start here. It's a very well taken goal, as Stevie alluded to during the highlights. That is Alexander Isak at his best. That's Alexander Isak that we saw none of, dare I say, at very best, very little of during the course of last season. Listen, I'm less critical. Isak scores, Florian Wirtz scores, plays reasonably well. Man, pick up sticks and go home at that point, if you ask me. It's pre-season, and I don't read an awful lot into what happens from there. You want to get the best out of Isak, you want to get the best out of Florian Wirtz. There's still a long way to go in this transfer window. Maybe things change in that regard, but I am always reluctant to read too much into pre-season friendlies.
How many goals is Isak going to get this season?
If he stays fit, is the question. He's going to get between 15 and 20.
Okay.
Which I think is reasonable. You know, his best season we saw there at Newcastle, he got 27. So if he gets 20, I think you could probably turn around and say that's absolutely what you brought for. I think every team, or certainly all the top teams, are looking for a striker who gives them 20 goals a season.
All competitions you want more than 20, surely.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Frank, you agree?
I do agree. That's the least he can do, for a Liverpool team, and the price they put on him. So 20 goals in the Premier League, that would be a good season for Isak, and it's a good start for him. You know, it's always good because what is at stake really on top of the technical aspect of the game, it's the confidence that they were lacking last season. So it's always good to start even in a friendly game and Anfield Road in front of the fans. For him and for Wirtz to score goals, because it's what they need. They need to score goals to free their fears and get the confidence back. So it's always good, and let's see how it works.
Steve, you mentioned it during the highlight, Frank. Now's the time to get your mistakes out your system. We saw Van Dijk conceding the penalty. An obvious statement, but not the first time we've done this on the show. Van Dijk needs to have a cracking season at his best if Liverpool can do anything this campaign.
Yes, and everybody who loves football wish him the best, because he was one of the best, if he's not the best defender in the world at a certain point before his injury, but even after when he came back. So we want him to be back to his best, but it's hard, he's getting older, and he has doubts like everybody else, wondering if he can get into that best at him. So it's a very big question mark, because they need to restrain their backside. They need to make sure that the defense is going to be good, and therefore they need the top of Van Dijk. And when you see how he got the penalty against Golovin today, it doesn't bring anything good for the rest of the team, because they see that. They say, "Oh, the guy is not ready." I remember when I was in the preseason, I knew exactly how late I was in my preparation and how far I was coming too late to any actions. And when you're ready, you're spot on. You know exactly when to put your leg, where to put your leg, and you can feel that Van Dijk is not ready yet. He still has like 15 days before getting to his best. Again, we want to wish him the best.
Where do you stand, Stevie, on Van Dijk and what he's going to do this season?
Of all the players, I don't see any reason why he won't step up and be better than he was last year.
Right.
I mean, he's not going to be Van Dijk of 3 years ago, but he absolutely is still a centre back that most teams in this league 100% would love in their team. You know, at the end of the day, the one thing I would say about him is that I think one of his biggest problems, you know, you can look at stats and stuff for a defender, but there's a lot of things that happen in a game that are not entirely down to you. You know, the fact that he's got either more or less challenges and interceptions and all these things, a lot of that will depend on what's going on around him. And there's no question that everybody around him, and I'm not keeping him out of this, the whole back four were struggling, but for somebody like him who's expected to do certain things, when it doesn't happen, when there's such chaos going on around him, it's hard for him to do his job as well. And I think the one thing he has to do this year that he was guilty of last year is not get frustrated. He absolutely 100% got frustrated last year, and I think that was a lot of his problems. Yes, he's getting older, but I think his biggest problem last year was he got frustrated at too many things and too many other players, when really he needed to be the calming influence that he wasn't, and concentrate on his job and do his job first, because that's what we all have to do first and foremost. You have to do your job first. After that, then you start helping everybody else. So if he learns from his frustration of last year, he will be a way better player this year.
But part of that is I can't help but wonder. And listen, I think I'm with everybody here in saying Van Dijk at his best was one of the best centre-backs in the game. There was no question to it. But he's 35 years old now. And as much as you need Van Dijk to be back to his best as a player, you need Van Dijk to be back to his best as a leader. And I thought that's where things came a little bit unstuck. Different back four, frustrations with Kirkes and that understanding and that relationship of last season. But I also can't help but think, now at 35, you're going to be 36 during the course of this season. As your abilities start to wane slightly, that starts to weigh on you a whole lot more, because now you not only have to be the centre-back that you were 3 or 4 years ago, but you also have to be the leader that everybody around you wants you and needs you to be. And as your own superpowers begin to fade, I just wonder how all that kind of impacts Van Dijk and concerningly, Liverpool.
The concerns that Liverpool fans have had is the lack of players coming in.
Yep.
That can add that something extra which they missed so desperately last season.
Yep.
BARCOLA, of course, is someone that we've talked about extensively on the show over the last couple of weeks. Frank, what are they saying in France? Do you think at the start of the season, or do you think when the transfer window closes, that BARCOLA will be at Liverpool, at Arsenal maybe, or at PSG?
Well, the feeling is BARCOLA is on his way out. He's gonna struggle finding minutes for Paris Saint-Germain because of the talent that you have with Kvaratskhelia, but also Doué on the same side. That's complicated because those players are worldwide players, and BARCOLA, with all the talent that he had, and he started the season very well, but he got injured after that. Needs some play time, and he feels that if he goes away, especially at Liverpool, he will have a chance to do that and will bring the pace for the Reds. So the tendency is to see him leaving Paris Saint-Germain and going, maybe to the Premier League, which could be a very good news for himself and for any club we're gonna welcome him, because he's a real talent player. He has to be better in the finishing, but to create troubles to all defense, is the real guy, because he has confidence of his skill, on his pace. He has to finish the action, but it could be a great catch for any club in the Premier League.
It's a lot of money, Stevie, obviously, but it's a player that Liverpool need.
Yes. And I think the price tag is important, because Liverpool don't just need one player like BARCOLA. They need 4 or 5 players like BARCOLA. If they want to... I think it's interesting.
That's a lot more money.
I think it's interesting that I wonder what the actual thought process is at Liverpool in terms of the board, because they must understand that the position they're in now with the playing squad, with the new manager, they can't be sitting there thinking, we've got a chance of winning the Premier League, or we've got a chance of winning the Champions League. They can't be sitting there thinking that. And so it's important that either they decide to go all out and spend a huge amount of money on BARCOLA, knowing that it's going to take another couple of windows to actually get in a position where you're going to challenge. Because if this is the team that starts against Newcastle, it's a decent team, but it's not a Premier League winning team. It's not a Champions League winning team. It's questionable whether it gets into the Champions League next year. So that would be my question. If there are going to be 3 players appearing all of a sudden between now and the start of the season, which is what, 15 days, I think Frank said, then I don't believe they can pay 145 million for BARCOLA and then expect to go and get another 2 or 3. Because if you're going to buy proper players, you're talking 80, 90 million.
So what's your point?
Well, the point is, I don't know whether do they want to go out and spend 145 million on BARCOLA when they have so many other problems that they won't have any money to try and help with? That's my point. Do you decide to throw it all at one guy?
You're kind of repeating what happened last season with Isak and Wirtz and Ekitike, but you didn't do anything about the defence.
Yeah. So what do? Do you throw all your money at BARCOLA? But then all of a sudden...
Wouldn't. Stevie Nicol says signing BARCOLA would be a mistake.
If 145 mil.
That's what we're hearing.
That's 145 million, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely.
Doomed to fail, he says. Disappointing. Of course, there's a lot of talk about BARCOLA leaving, with Ferran Torres coming in as well, Frank. This is a bit of a head-scratcher from us from the outside looking in. What is it about PSG and Ferran Torres that sees this as a match for you?
Well, you know that at front Paris Saint-Germain have lots of talents, and they don't really play with a striker. I mean, Ramos barely played last season. They put Dembele at front, but Dembele is not really a striker. They tried to put Doué as well, but Doué is not really a striker. I don't really know why they really need Ferran Torres the way they play.